and large canopy for increased visibility and a 360 degrees field of view for the pilot. The airframe consists of 37.3% aluminum, 29.2% honeycomb, 25.8% titanium, 5.5% steel, and 2% composites and fiberglass. The structure began to incorporate advanced superplastically formed titanium components in the 1980s. The F-15's maneuverability is derived from low wing loading, weight-to-wing area ratio, with a high thrust-to-weight ratio, enabling the aircraft to turn tightly at up to 9 G without losing airspeed. The F-15 can climb to 30,000 feet, 9,100 m, in around 60 seconds. At certain speeds, the dynamic thrust output of the dual engines is greater than the aircraft's combat weight and drag, so it has the ability to accelerate vertically. The weapons and flight control systems are designed so that one person can safely and effectively perform air-to-air combat. The A and C models are single-seat variants. These were the main air superiority versions produced. B and D models add a second seat behind the pilot for training, although they are also fully combat capable. E models use the second seat for a weapons systems officer. Visibly, the F-15 has a unique feature vis-a-vis other modern fighter aircraft. It does not have the distinctive turkey feather aerodynamic exhaust petals covering its engine nozzles. Following problems during development of its exhaust petal design, including dislodgement during flight, the decision was made to remove them, resulting in a 3% aerodynamic drag increase. The F-15 was shown to be capable of controlled flight with only one wing after an Israeli F-15D suffered a mid-air collision with an A-4 Skyhawk that removed most of the right wing, in the 1983 Negev mid-air collision. While the A-4 was instantly disintegrated with the pilot being automatically ejected, the F-15 was sent into an uncontrollable roll. Through the application of full afterburner as well as a landing at twice the normal speed, pilot Zivi Nedevi managed to land successfully at Rayman Air Base. Subsequent wind tunnel tests on a one-wing model confirmed that controllable flight was only possible within a very limited speed range of plus or minus 20 knots and angle of attack variation of plus or minus 20 degrees. The event resulted in research into damage adaptive technology and a system called Intelligent Flight Control System. Avionics, edit. And /APG-63 radar. A multi-mission avionics system includes a head-up display, HUD, advanced radar, and /ASN-109 inertial guidance system, flight instruments, ultra-high-frequency communications, and tactical air navigation system and instrument landing system receivers. It also has an internally mounted, tactical electronic warfare system, identification friend or foe system, an electronic countermeasures suite, and a central digital computer. The HUD projects all essential flight information gathered by the integrated avionics system. This display, visible in any light condition, provides the pilot information necessary to track and destroy an enemy aircraft without having to look down at cockpit instruments. The F-15's versatile APG-63 and 70 pulse Doppler radar systems can look up at high-flying targets and look down /shoot down at low-flying targets without being confused by ground clutter. These radars can detect and track aircraft and small high-speed targets at distances beyond visual range down to close range, and at altitudes down to treetop level. The APG-63 has a basic range of 100 miles, 87 mi, 160 kilometers. The radar feeds target information into the central computer for effective weapons delivery. For close-in dogfights, the radar automatically acquires enemy aircraft, and this information is projected on the head-up display. The F-15's electronic warfare system provides both threat warning, radar warning receiver, and automatic countermeasures against selected threats. The improved APG-63, V-2 and V-3 active electronically scanned array, AESA, radar upgrade included most of the hardware from the APG-63, V-1, but added an AESA to provide increased pilot situation awareness. The AESA radar has an exceptionally agile beam, providing nearly instantaneous track updates and enhanced multi-target tracking capability. The APG-63, V-2 and V-3 are compatible with current F-15C weapon loads and enable pilots to take full advantage of AIM 120 AMRAAM capabilities, simultaneously guiding multiple missiles to several targets widely spaced in azimuth, elevation, or range. Weaponry and external stores, edit. A variety of air-to-air weaponry can be carried by the F-15. An automated weapons system enables the pilot to release weapons effectively and safely, using the head-up display and the avionics and weapons controls located on the engine throttles or control stick. When the pilot changes from one weapon system to another, visual guidance for the selected weapon automatically appears on the head-up display. The Eagle can be armed with combinations of 4 different air-to-air weapons, AIM-7F/M Sparrow missiles or AIM 120 AMRAAM advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles on its lower fuselage corners, AIM 9L/M Sidewinder or AIM 120 AMRAAM missiles on 2 pylons under the wings, and an internal 20 mm, 0.79 in, M61 Vulcan Gatling gun in the right wing root. F-15C underside with external stores. Low-drag conformal fuel tanks, CFTs, initially called Fuel and Sensor Tactical, FAST, packs, were developed for the F-15C and D models. They can be attached to the sides of the engine air intakes under each wing and are designed to the same load factors and airspeed limits as the basic aircraft. These tanks slightly degrade performance by increasing aerodynamic drag and cannot be jettisoned in flight. However, they cause less drag than conventional external tanks. Each conformal tank can hold 750 US gallons, 2,840 L, of fuel. These CFTs increase range and reduce the need for in-flight refueling. All external stations for munitions remain available with the tanks in use. Moreover, Sparrow or AMRAAM missiles can be attached to the corners of the CFTs. The USAF 57th Fighter Interceptor Squadron based at Keflavik, Iceland, was the only C-model squadron to use CFTs on a regular basis due to its extended operations over the North Atlantic. With the closure of the 57 FIS, the F-15E is the only variant to carry them on a routine basis. CFTs have also been sold to Israel and Saudi Arabia. Operational history, edit. Introduction and early service, edit. The largest operator of the F-15 is the United States Air Force. The first Eagle, an F-15B, was delivered on the 13th of November, 1974. In January 1976, the first Eagle destined for a combat squadron, the 555th TFS, was delivered. These initial aircraft carried the Hughes aircraft, now Raytheon, APG-63 radar. The F-15 in early service was plagued by reliability and durability problems of its F-100 PW-100 engines, whose ambitious specifications were critical for the aircraft's high performance. Furthermore, the issues were exacerbated by pilots making many more abrupt throttle changes than in previous fighters and engines due to the thrust available. The issues were addressed by the improved F-100 PW-220 engines first delivered in 1986. The first kill by an F-15 was scored by Israeli Air Force, IAF, Ace Moshe Melnick in 1979. During IAF raids against Palestinian factions in Lebanon in 1979-1981, F-15s reportedly downed 13 Syrian MiG-21s and 2 Syrian MiG-25s. Israeli F-15s and Bs participated as escorts in Operation Opera, an airstrike on an Iraqi nuclear reactor. In the 1982 Lebanon War, Israeli F-15s were credited with 41 Syrian aircraft destroyed, 23 MiG-21s and 17 MiG-23s, and one aerospatiale Sa-342L Gazelle helicopter. During Operation Mole Cricket 19, Israeli F-15s and F-16s together shot down 82 Syrian fighters, MiG-21s, MiG-23s, and MiG-23Ms, without losses. Israel was the only operator to use and develop the air-to-ground abilities of the air superiority F-15 variants, doing so because the fighter's range was well beyond other combat aircraft in the Israeli inventory in the 1980s. The first known use of F-15s for a strike mission was during Operation Wooden Leg on the 1st of October, 1985, with 6 F-15Ds attacking PLO headquarters in Tunis with 1 GBU-15 guided bomb per aircraft and 2 F-15Cs restriking the ruins with 6 Mk-82 unguided bombs each. This was one of the few times air superiority F-15s, a /B/C/D models, were used in tactical strike missions. Israeli air superiority F-15 variants have since been extensively upgraded to carry a wider range of air-to-ground armaments, including JDAM GPS-guided bombs and Popeye missile. The first American combat use of the F-15 was during Operation Urgent Fury. F-15s of the 33rd Tactical Fighter Wing provided air cover alongside U.S. Navy F-14 Tomcats for Marines and the 82nd Airborne Division for contingency operations in Grenada. Royal Saudi Air Force F-15C pilots reportedly shot down 2 Iranian Air Force F-4E Phantom IIS in a skirmish on the 5th of June, 1984. Anti-satellite trials, edit. The ASM-135 missile was designed to be a standoff anti-satellite (ASAT) weapon, with the F-15 acting as a first stage. The Soviet Union could correlate a U.S. rocket launch with a spy satellite loss, but an F-15 carrying an ASAT would blend in among hundreds of F-15 flights. From January 1984 to September 1986, 2 F-15s were used as launch platforms for the ASAT missile. The F-15s were modified to carry one ASM-135 on the centerline station with extra equipment within a special centerline pylon. The launch aircraft executed a Mach 1.22, 3.8 G climb at 65 degrees to release the ASAT missile at an altitude of 38,100 feet, 11,600 m. The flight computer was updated to control the zoom climb and missile release. The third test flight involved a functional P-78-1 solar observatory satellite in a 345-mile, 555 kilometers, orbit, which was destroyed by kinetic energy. The pilot, USAF Major Wilbert D. Doug Pearson, became the only pilot to destroy a satellite. The ASAT program involved 5 test launches. The program was officially terminated in 1988. Gulf War and Aftermath, edit. The USAF began deploying F-15C, D, and E model aircraft to the Persian Gulf region in August 1994 Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. During the Gulf War, the F-15 accounted for 36 of the 39 air-to-air victories by the U.S. Air Force against Iraqi forces. Iraq has confirmed the loss of 23 of its aircraft in air-to-air combat. The F-15C and D fighters were used in the air superiority role, while F-15E Strike Eagles were used in air-to-ground attacks mainly at night, hunting modified Scud missile launchers and artillery sites using the Lantern system. According to the USAF, its F-15CS had 34 confirmed kills of Iraqi aircraft during the 1991 Gulf War, most of them by missile fire. 5 Mikoyan MiG-29S, 2 MiG-25S, 8 MiG-23S, 2 MiG-21S, 2 Sukhoi Su-25S, 4 Sukhoi Su-22S, 1 Sukhoi Su-7, 6 Dassault Mirage F-1S, 1 Ilyushin Il-76 cargo aircraft, 1 Pilatus PC-9 trainer, and 2 Mi-8 helicopters. According to NHHC, F-15S may have also shot down a friendly F-14 Tomcat. In addition, the F-15E achieved its first ever air-to-air kill on the 14th of February, 1991, destroying an Iraqi Mi-24 Hind helicopter with a GBU-10 laser-guided bomb. Air superiority was achieved in the first 3 days of the conflict. Many of the later kills were reportedly of Iraqi aircraft fleeing to Iran, rather than engaging American aircraft. 2 F-15S were lost to ground fire, and another was damaged on the ground by a Scud strike on King Abdulaziz Air Base. On the 11th of November, 1990, a Royal Saudi Air Force, ASIF, pilot defected to Sudan with an F-15C fighter during Operation Desert Shield. Saudi Arabia paid US $40 million, $82.5 million in 2023, for return of the aircraft 3 months later. ASIF F-15S shot down 2 Iraqi Mirage F-1S during the Operation Desert Storm. 1 Saudi Arabian F-15C was lost to a crash during the Persian Gulf War in 1991. The ICAF claimed this fighter was part of 2 USAF F-15Cs that engaged 2 Iraqi MiG-25 PDs, and was hit by an R-40 missile before crashing. They have since been deployed to support Operation Southern Watch, the patrolling of the Iraqi no-fly zones in southern Iraq, Operation Provide Comfort in Turkey, in support of NATO operations in Bosnia, and recent Air Expeditionary Force deployments. In 1994, 2 U.S. Army Sikorsky R-60 Black Hawks were mistakenly downed by USAF F-15CS in northern Iraq in a friendly fire incident. USAF F-15CS shot down 4 Yugoslav MiG-29s using AIM-120 and AIM-7 radar-guided missiles during NATO's 1999 intervention in Kosovo, Operation Allied Force. Structural defects, edit. All F-15S were grounded by the USAF after a Missouri Air National Guard F-15C came apart in flight and crashed on the 2nd of November, 2007. The newer F-15E fleet was later cleared for continued operations. The USAF reported on the 28th of November, 2007 that a critical location in the upper longrons on the F-15C was the failure's suspected cause, causing the fuselage forward of the air intakes, including the cockpit and radome, to separate from the airframe. F-15A through D model aircraft were grounded until the location received detailed inspections and repairs as needed. The grounding of F-15S received media attention as it began to place strains on the nation's air defense efforts. The grounding forced some states to rely on their neighboring states' fighters for air defense protection, and Alaska to depend on Canadian Forces fighter support. On the 8th of January, 2008, the USAF Air Combat Command, ACC, cleared a portion of its older F-15 fleet for return to flying status. It also recommended a limited return to flight for units worldwide using the affected models. The Accident Review Board report, which was released on the 10th of January, 2008, stated that analysis of the F-15C wreckage determined that the Longren did not meet drawing specifications, which led to fatigue cracks and finally a catastrophic failure of the remaining support structures and breakup of the aircraft in flight. In a report released on the 10th of January, 2008, 9 other F-15s were identified to have similar problems in the Longren. As a result, General John D. W. Corley stated, "The long-term future of the F-15 is in question." On the 15th of February, 2008, ACC cleared all its grounded F-15A/B/C/D fighters for flight pending inspections, engineering reviews, and any needed repairs. ACC also recommended release of other US F-15A/B/C/DS. Later service, edit. A USAF F-15C flying over Fresno, California, 2013. The F-15 had a combined air-to-air combat record of 104 kills to no losses through 2008. The F-15's air superiority versions, the A/B/C/D models, have not suffered any losses to enemy action. Over half of F-15 kills have been achieved by Israeli Air Force pilots. On the 16th of September, 2009, the last F-15A, an Oregon Air National Guard aircraft, was retired, marking the end of service for the F-15A and F-15B models in the United States. With the retirement of those early models, the F-15C and D models continued operational service to supplement the new F-22 Raptor in frontline U.S. service. Because the DoD was primarily focused on asymmetric counterinsurgency warfare in the Middle East in the 2000s, the F-22 procurement was curtailed to just 187 operational aircraft, and the USAF had to extend F-15C/D operations well beyond its planned retirement date in order to maintain adequate numbers of air superiority fighters. In 2007, the USAF planned to keep 179 F-15C/DS along with 224 F-15s in service beyond 2025. During the 2010s, USAF F-15C/DS were regularly based overseas with the Pacific Air Forces at Kadena AB in Japan and with the US Air Forces in Europe at RAF Lakenheath in the United Kingdom. Other regular USAF F-15s are operated by ACC as adversary/aggressor platforms at Nellis AFB, Nevada, and by Air Force Material Command in test and evaluation roles at Edwards AFB, California, and Eglin AFB, Florida. All remaining combat-coded F-15C/DS are operated by the Air National Guard. To keep the F-15C/D viable, the fleet saw a series of upgrades, with 179 aircraft receiving the AN/APG-63 V3 AESA radar starting in 2010, along with eventual addition of IRST pods and cockpit enhancements. However, problems with the aging fleet meant the F-15C faced cuts or retirement in the USAF's FY 2015 budget in response to sequestration. By the mid-2010s, the aging F-15C/D fleet was no longer economically sustainable to the 2030s as hoped due to structural fatigue, and the USAF chose to forego the more comprehensive F-15 2040C upgrade proposed by Boeing. In April 2017, USAF officials announced plans to retire the F-15C/D in the mid-2020s and press other aircraft such as F-16s into roles occupied by the F-15 while exploring options to recapitalize its fighter fleet. In late 2018 and early 2019, following a series of duty cost analysis and program evaluation, CAPE, office studies on affordably recapitalizing the fighter fleet, the Pentagon in its FY 2020 budget requested new-build F-15Xs, an advanced variant based on the export F-15QA then in production, to replace the F-15CS and supplement the F-22S to maintain fighter fleet size, with planned total procurement of 144 aircraft. This allowed USAF to use the existing export production line to quickly and affordably bring fighters into operational service, as restarting the F-22 line was considered cost-prohibitive. In 2022, it was announced the USAF planned to retire their fleet of F-15C/DS by 2026, while the F-15S would retire in the 2030s. By April 2022, RAF Lakenheath had divested its entire fleet of F-15C/DS, with its aircraft going on to serve in ANG squadrons. Kadena AB divested its Eagle fleet between December 2022 and January 2025, with the last USAF active duty F-15C flight being flown by 81-0029 on the 24th of January 2025. Yemen Civil War, edit. During the Yemeni Civil War, 2015-present, Houthis have used R-27T missiles modified to serve as surface-to-air missiles. A video released on the 7th of January 2018 also shows a modified R-27T hitting a Saudi F-15 on a forward-looking infrared camera. Houthi sources claim to have downed the F-15, although this has been disputed, as the missile apparently proximity detonated, though the F-15 continued to fly in its trajectory seemingly unaffected. Rebels later released footage showing an aircraft wreck, but serial numbers on the wreckage suggested the aircraft was a Panavia Tornado, also operated by Saudi forces. On the 8th of January, the Saudi admitted the loss of an aircraft but due to technical reasons. On the 21st of March, 2018, Houthi rebels released a video where they hit and possibly shot down a Saudi F-15 in Sada province. In the video, a R-27T air-to-air missile adapted for surface-to-air use was launched and appeared to hit a jet. As in the video of the previous similar hit recorded on the 8th of January, the target, while clearly hit, did not appear to be downed. Saudi forces confirmed the hit, while saying the jet landed at a Saudi base. Saudi official sources confirmed the incident, reporting that it happened at 3:48 p.m. local time after a surface-to-air defense missile was launched at the fighter jet from inside Sada airport. After the Houthi attack on Saudi oil infrastructure on the 14th of September, 2019, Saudi Arabia tasked F-15 fighters armed with missiles to intercept low-flying drones, difficult to intercept with ground-based high-altitude missile systems like the MIM-104 Patriot, with several drones being downed since then. On the 2nd of July, 2020, a Saudi F-15 shot down two Houthi Shahd 129 drones above Yemen. On the 7th of March, 2021, during a Houthi attack at several Saudi oil installations, Saudi F-15s shot down several attacking drones using heat-seeking AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles, with video evidence showing at least two Samad-3 UAVs and one Case F-2K downed. On the 30th of March, 2021, a video made by Saudi border guards showed a Saudi F-15 shooting down a Houthi Quays F-2K drone with an AIM-120 AMRAAM fired at short range. Variants, edit. This article is about F-15O, B, C, D, and related variants. For F-15E, F-15I, F-15S, F-15K, F-15SG, F-15SAT, F-15QA, and other F-15E based variants, see McDonnell Douglas F-15E Strike Eagle. Basic models, edit. F-15O. Single-seat all-weather air superiority fighter version, 384, built in 1972-1979. F-15B. Two-seat training version, formerly designated TF-15O, 61, built in 1972-1979. F-15C.